stated it clearly and boldly, and it must be repeated again now. To redeem the soul of America. I'm not joking. To redeem the soul of America. What is the soul of America? Easy to say, but what is the soul of America? Well, the soul is the breath, the life, the essence of who we are. The soul makes us us. The soul of America is embodied in the sacred proposition that we're all created equal in the image of God. That was the sacred proposition for which Dr. King gave his life. The sacred proposition rooted in Scripture and enshrined in the Declaration of Independence. The sacred proposition he invoked on that day in 1963 when he told my generation about his dream. A dream in which we're all entitled to be treated with my father's favorite word, dignity and respect. A dream in which we all deserve liberty and justice. And it's still the task of our time to make that dream a reality because it's not there yet. To make Dr. King's vision tangible. To match the words of the preachers and the poets with our deeds. As the Bible teaches us, we must be doers of the word. Doers of the word. The battle for the soul of this nation is perennial. It's a constant struggle. It's a constant struggle between hope and fear, kindness and cruelty, justice and injustice, against those who traffic in racism, extremism, and insurrection. A battle fought on battlefields and bridges, from courthouses and ballot boxes to pulpits and protest. And at our best, the American promise wins out. At our best, we hear and heed the injunctions of the Lord and the whispers of the angels. But I don't need to tell you that we're not always at our best. We're fallible. We fail and fall. But faith and history teach us that however dark the night, joy cometh in the morning. And that joy comes with the commandments of Scripture. Love the Lord thy God, all thy heart, all thy mind, and all thy soul. And love thy neighbor as thyself. Easy to say, but very hard to do. But in that commandment, in my view, lies the essence of the gospel and the essence of the American promise. It's when we see each other as neighbors and not enemies that progress and justice come. It's when we see each other as fellow human beings, as children of God, that we begin to walk the path of Dr. King's beloved community. The path is dream-inspired, and his legacy propel us forward to this day. Here's what I learned in my life and my career along that path, as many of you have learned along your path. We're all imperfect beings. We don't know where and what fate will deliver to us and when. But we can do our best to seek a life of light and hope and love and, yes, truth. Truth. That's what I try to do every day, to build the future we all want. We're reminding ourselves that nothing is guaranteed in our democracy. Nothing. Every generation is required to keep it, defend it, protect it, to be repairers of of the breach. And to remember that the power to redeem the soul of America lies where it always has lay, in the hands of we the people. We the people. I was vividly reminded of that truth on the south lawn of the White House. I believe you were there, both of you, both your senators. The south lawn of the White House with our Vice President Kamala Harris. And hearing these words, and I quote, "It took just one generation from segregation to the Supreme Court of the United States," end of quote. Those are the words of Ketanji Brown Jackson, our Supreme Court Justice. Took just one generation from segregation to the Supreme Court of the United States. As I told folks at the time, she's smarter than you are. As Dr. King said, give us the ballot and we will place judges on the bench who will do justly. And we are. That's the promise of America. Where change is hard but necessary. Excuse me. Progress is never easy, but it's always possible. And the things do get better on our march toward a more perfect union. But at this inflection point, we know there's a lot of work that has to continue on economic justice, civil rights, voting rights, and protecting our democracy. And I'm remembering that our job is to redeem the soul of America. Look, I get accused of being an inveterate optimist. I call that the Irish of it. We're never on top, always step down, but we are optimistic. Like Dr. King was optimistic. Folks, as I said, progress is never easy. Redeeming the soul of the country is absolutely essential. I doubt whether any of us would have thought, even in Dr. King's time, that literally the institutional structures of this country might collapse. Like we're seeing in Brazil, we're seeing in other parts of the world. Folks, I'll close with this, with a blessing I see today. In the Oval Office, and many of you have been there in my office, you get to set it up the way you want, within reason. As I sit at my desk, and look at the fireplace, just to the left is the bust of Dr. King. It's there in that spot on purpose, because he was my inspiration as a kid. He does know where we should go. I ran for 3 reasons. I said I wanted to restore the soul of America. I wanted to rebuild this country from the bottom up and the middle out. And I wanted to unite it. And not far from him, if you look about 40, 50 degrees to the right, there's another statue, another bust of Rosa Parks. People ask me, why? I say, I put it in my words, she just say, I've had enough. I've had enough. Folks, I often think of the question that Dr. King asked us all those years ago. I think it's important you all remember. I think it's important the nation remember. He said, "Where do we go from here?" That's a quote. Where go from here? Well, my message to the nation on this day is we go forward. We go together. When we choose democracy over autocracy, a beloved community over chaos, when we choose believers in the dreams, to be doers, to be unafraid, always keeping the faith. Every time I walk out of my Irish Catholic grandfather's home up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, his name was Ambrose Finnegan. And he'd yell, "Joey, keep the faith." My grandmother, "No, Joey, spread it. Spread the faith." No, I'm serious. This is a Catholic rosary I have on my wrist. One my son had on the night he was dying. The point is, there's hope. There's always hope. We have to believe. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. King's path in my view. Path to keeping the faith. It must be our path. Folks, for God's sake, this is the United States of America. The United States, there's nothing beyond our capacity. Nothing beyond our capacity if we set our mind to it. And ladies and gentlemen, we're a land of dreamers and a land of doers. Nothing's beyond our capacity. The gospel song that Dr. King loved, as I understand, as he always told he did. We've come too far from where we started. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. He did not go this far to leave me. My fellow Americans, I don't think the Lord brought us this far to leave us. I really don't. My word. My fellow Americans, God bless Dr. Martin Luther King and his family. And based on one of his favorite hymns, "Precious Lord, take my hand through the storm, through the night, and lead me on to the light." May God bless you all, and let's go find the light. We can do this.
You've been listening to